Hi everyone, we just finished up our months-long trip in Montenegro and we want to share with you some tips and some of our own experience so you can have a great time when you're there too. Keep watching till the end because then we're going to share with you our costs for the month.
Montenegro is a fairly small country by population and size, but it has some of the most beautiful waterfront cities and mountain villages that we've seen during our travels. While we were staying in the city of Tivat, we had a chance to visit the city of Herceg-Novi, Budva, Kotor, and Cetinje. In particular, Cetinje stood out as one of our favorite cities. Consider visiting Kotor and Budva, but keep in mind the walled cities can feel very touristy. We also took a cruise around the Bay of Kotor, which we really enjoyed and highly recommend. There are also some excellent hiking trails in the area if you enjoy that type of thing.
U.S. citizens can stay in Montenegro up to 90 days without a visa. Note, however, that if you're not staying in a hotel, you will need to register with the Tourist Information Center in your local town. Usually hotels will take care of this for you. It costs about €1 a day, and you need to do this because if you don't, exiting Montenegro could be very interesting. We will link more information in the description below, but it's not a hard thing to do. The currency of Montenegro is the euro. Most larger places will take credit cards like restaurants, museums, that type of thing. But a lot of smaller local vendors like bakeries, greengrocers, ice cream stands would prefer cash. Some don't even take credit cards. We don't like to pay ATM fees. So with some research that Chris did, we found that the Priva Bank, PRVA Bank, those ATMs didn't charge us any foreign transaction fees.
Public transportation. So we love using public transportation when we travel, and we were lucky enough that we were able to do so in Montenegro. You can get around by taxi or bus, however, with one exception, you're not going to find any trains in Montenegro. Taxis can be expensive, so we opted to use the bus. You can find bus stations in most of the major cities, and they all post the bus schedules somewhere within the bus station. You can also find the bus schedules online at a website called Bus Ticket for Me. We'll link that information in the description below. You can buy your bus tickets online at Bus Ticket for Me, but it's really not necessary. And in fact, when you arrive at the bus station, you have to exchange those online tickets for a printed ticket and pay a €2 fee, so it's really not worth it. Overall, we found bus transportation navigable, although not as modern or simple as we would have preferred. For example, bus tickets listed a seat number, but we found when you got on the bus that people actually didn't adhere to the seat number, and we think actually that the seat numbers correspond more to number of seats remaining than an actual seat number, so you can ignore that information. Tickets also list the name of the bus company, which is an easy way to identify which bus is yours. Every bus has the company listed on the side or somewhere on the bus that is easy to distinguish. You can also find the destination cities listed typically on a plaque that's on the front window of each bus. And when in doubt, you can just kind of approach the driver, and they're pretty good about telling you whether or not the bus that you're trying to get on is the right one. Walkability. Montenegro is moderately walkable. We found there were sidewalks in most parts of the city. However, there were a number of areas where there was almost no shoulder and it was very, very difficult to walk. We tried to walk to one of the local cities nearby Tivat called Lepetane, and we actually ended up giving up because we felt that it was a little bit too dangerous. There just wasn't enough room on the side of the road for us to walk with all of the given traffic that was around. Montenegro has an interesting car honking culture. They seem to use horns more as a greeting to say hello or some other type of acknowledgement along the roads. We found that bus drivers would honk to each other as they passed. People greeted each other, honked outside of stores to say hello, which was a little bit jarring for us as Americans. It took a bit of time to get used to. In fact, I can say I never really got used to it. But it is something to be aware of when you're walking alongside of the road. People tend to honk quite a bit more frequently than you might find in other countries or in the United States. While we cannot speak for all cities in Montenegro, the cities where we did visit, we found that cars would stop for pedestrians at most intersections. Although we stuck to crosswalks and sort of the official pedestrian crossings, we didn't have any trouble, and we were actually sort of surprised at how considerate drivers were. So, getting to and from the airport. We tend to avoid taking taxis when we can, and we read that taxis at the Montenegro airport could be rather expensive, and it's best to book in advance. So we chose to do that using a service called My Transfers. We'll link that information in the description below. What I liked about My Transfers is that you could use Apple Pay online, so you don't have to put any credit card information into the website. And we found it was actually quite nice experience. When we arrived, there was a driver there holding a sign with our name on it. It actually ended up just being a taxi, but we found that it was quite easy for us to use that service to book our transportation to and from the airport, and we would recommend using them in Montenegro.
So can you drink the water? In Montenegro, we heard that you generally could drink the tap water and it was pretty safe, but our Airbnb host informed us that most locals in Tivat did drink bottled water and it was readily available. We did use it to brush our teeth, wash dishes, wash produce, and it was fine. We probably could have used it for drinking water, but we chose to get bottled.
Mobile phone data plans. So this is really important to me because I like to be connected all the time. And Montenegro has one of the best mobile data plans, I think, that we have ever encountered. So for $20, you can get 1 terabyte of data that is usable for 30 days. That's 1,000 gigabytes. So it's like absolutely incredible, and you're never gonna run out of data. We loved it. We used a company called Telecom, which is essentially T-Mobile that you might find in the United States. What was kind of nice is we were actually able to get an eSIM online and have it all ready to go. So when we landed in Montenegro, we just activated it and we were off and running. So something I would recommend. We'll link all that information in the description below.
Grocery shopping. As you probably have guessed, we like to eat in a lot, and so I do a lot of cooking for lunches and dinners. Whenever we get to a new city, we like to check out the local grocery stores, see what's what, compare some prices. In Tivat, we mainly shopped at the Voli and the Franca market. There we bought basically everything but our vegetables. Most cities are going to have green grocers or a green market where you can go and buy fresh vegetables and fruit. We happened to find a really great one, and the lady we ended up going to for our entire time there was so nice and so sweet, and we just really enjoyed interacting with her, and she had amazing produce. Whenever we can, we prefer to buy our bread from local bakeries. The nice thing about this is every couple of days we can go in and try one of the different varieties they have. We really enjoyed our bread in Montenegro. Being a coastal city, I thought it would be easier to find fish in regular grocery stores. It really wasn't. We did find a fish market, but you had to be prepared to clean and gut your own fish, so we didn't really have a lot of fish at home this time.
We really enjoyed our Airbnb in Tivat. One of the things we've started to do with our travels is stay outside of the major tourist areas. And that's something we were able to do in Tivat. Plus, we stayed there during off-season. That means we didn't have to deal with hundreds and hundreds of tourists disembarking from cruise ships and wandering around. We were able to go visit those tourist attractions and then come back to our Airbnb and relax in a more quiet neighborhood.
Unless you're at a restaurant where you've made a reservation, you can generally just go in and pick the table you'd like to sit at. The server will come over, bring menus, and be happy to take your food and drink order.
Public restrooms in Montenegro seem to be in very short supply, so we usually plan our travel around eating because we like to eat, but also because it allows us to eat and then use the restrooms. We found that in Montenegro we needed to do this quite a bit, And it worked out for us, but we really had a hard time finding public restrooms. So something to be aware of when you're traveling around is you really need to think about planning in advance if you're going to be out for a long period of time.
So here are the numbers you've been waiting for. Our accommodation this month in TVOT was $1,270 US. Groceries were $420, dining out $316, transportation $182, entertainment $35, and mobile data was $44. That gave us a grand total for our month in TVOT, Montenegro of $2,267. Out of all of those numbers, the one that surprised us the most was actually our accommodation. We had a beautiful Airbnb, totally modern, gorgeously outfitted, and it's probably one of the best ones we've stayed at our entire travels. We hope this information was helpful for you and will make your time in Montenegro a little bit more enjoyable. If you liked it, please go ahead and give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like.
And don't forget to tune in next week because we're taking a bus from Montenegro down to Albania. Looks like you can get to Albania without paying for a ticket, but when you get here, they're going to ask for your ticket, so just remember that.